Go. It says go. Before it comes on, it says go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm wriggling about. I know that there are a few of you on because, wait a minute, I must be psychic. I know these things. So before we begin our show, The Spirit World Sees All, and do they ever see all? Before we begin, I'd like to first of all say good morning to Grey Eagle, who is standing right beside me. I'd like to say good morning to Chris, who is our great facilitator, and I'd like to say good morning to all of you who are joining us this morning. We will be open for questions and comments and all of those good things. Now, but I know that many of you who are regulars will have already noticed. I don't know if you can hear the echo in the voice in the room, and can you see the empty shelves behind me? Yes, we are clearing out. We are having a good spring cleaning. Actually, I've got the painters coming in on Monday, so I'm having to move all breakables and all the stuff that you know I don't want them to touch or I don't want them to damage. So it's been a bit of a go around. I'm still working at it. I'm doing one room at a time. And anyway, so here we are. So it's a little echoey in the room, but I thought that our theme for today should be sort of spring cleaning. Now, it is spring. Spring is coming. When I was in New York with Samantha, we could see the leaves turning green, just a tiny, tiny green buds on her hydrangeas, and that's an indication of spring coming. And years and years ago, I think before we had all of the amazing appliances that we have today that we help us to clean. Years ago, it was sort of this was the time of year when the buckets came out and the mops came out and the soap suds came out, and people used to literally go from top to bottom of their houses spring cleaning and sort of getting everything ready for the spring and the summer, knocking all the cobwebs away. And that's something I do have to do. I don't think I've got too many cobwebs, but I have to look at them because there's nothing worse than the painters coming in and then finding cobwebs high up in the ceiling. And in the room that I'm in at the moment, which is probably why you hear this echoey sort of sound, is that it has high vaulted ceilings. So, so it's a little more echoey, and it might be cobwebby. I don't think it is because I regularly sort of whiz the walls around. But anyway, I have to check that out before they're coming on Monday. So next week, for our next week's show, I can't promise the shelves will be all back to how they should be because a lot of washing and scrubbing and washing down all of the ornaments and doing all of that stuff anyway. So I can't promise that it'll be back to normal, but it will certainly be different than it is now. I'm really excited about it and looking forward to it. But okay, we do an exercise. I do an exercise with my students, which I think is really, really important. And I was thinking, why don't we talk about that this morning? Why not let that be the theme of our conversation today? Spring cleaning. When we think of spring cleaning, as I've said, we think of soapy suds and scrubbing brushes and dusters and vacuum cleaners. We think of all of those things. But there's a different kind of spring cleaning that I'd like to talk a little bit about today. And I would love to have your comments and your questions, and I would love for you to participate in this because I think it's important for us to realize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. My added on to that is hopefully in a spiritual way, which means that if we are spiritual beings and we are trying to learn and we are trying to grow and we are trying to sort of look into ourselves to see who we are and how we think and so on. I know I have many of them, and I know that you all have many of them. I don't think there's a person on this earth of ours who doesn't have cobwebs in their minds and in their hearts and in their souls. And so occasionally we have to go in there. We have to go and do a deep cleaning of our mind, of our thoughts, of the way we think, the way we act, our attitude towards things, and sometimes, I think as human beings, we get into habits. And I think that most of us have habits. We have habits of the way we think. We have habits of the things that we do. One of my habits, I'm trying to think, what do I do on a regular basis, which is a great habit, is that I have my special drink in the morning when I get up, and I have my breakfast, and I am a creature of habit because I have to work really hard not to have the same food for breakfast and lunch. For years and years and years, I've always had the same lunch, I've always had the same breakfast, and so I'm trying hard to break those habits and to have, now I'm thinking, instead of just having a piece of toast or crisp bread, occasionally I'll have some oatmeal. Ooh, I'm living it up. It's really, wow. But I'm sort of cleaning out the cobwebs of my mind, which, when we get into these habits, we sort of focus and we do things without even thinking that we're doing them, without even questioning what we're doing. So I think that it would be a great time, especially as I'm doing all of this, it's certainly a great time for me, but also a great time for all of you thinking of spring and getting things in, the newness of things and the joy of spring that comes. I think it's a great way for us to also think of, how can we think better? What are the cobwebs that are, sort of fogging our minds or clouding our views, clouding our point of view? What happens if we sort of actually go into our mind, think about the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we act, and sort of get a good duster, get a good cobweb cleaner, whatever those things are. Get something that will help us to clean out the cobwebs of our minds. So that is going to be our topic today. Right. So Chris, before we go any further, I'm pretty sure there are people there, but I have to ask the question, because why wouldn't I ask the question? Is there anybody there? We know that there are. We know that there are people in the spirit world. We've got quite a few, actually. But is there anybody out there in the universe? Is there anybody out there? Where are you from? Which countries are people coming from? We want to hear not only that you're there, we want to hear your comments and questions, but we'd also like to know, where are you calling from? Where are you watching from? So, Chris, over to you.
All right. Well, Maggie was first on this morning saying good morning.
Good morning, Maggie.
Judith is here from a warm, near 90 degrees, Georgia.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Annika's here from a rainy Connecticut.
Okay.
Let's see, we're going down. Gary is here. Rhonda is here, and she's thanking you for putting her husband Bill in your healing book. And let's see, we've got Maggie's giving us lots of questions that we may get to after you do what you're doing. But she did say she cleaned the windows and casings yesterday.
So she's already started her spring cleaning, which is good. Think about that. Just think about that for a second. So cleaning your windows. Why are we cleaning the windows? Is it because we can't stand to see the dirt and the grime? Or is it because we want to see out a little clearer? And I think that one of the reasons that we should think about the way we feel, the way we think, get those cobwebs out of our minds, try to do something that we haven't done before, or try to break a habit that, even if it's today I'll have oatmeal. I'm not going to have my toast and my delicious marmalade. I knew I'd get it in there. That marmalade is so good. It's so delicious. I can't tell you. But, sort of just trying something new, trying something different, or instead of going out, as let's say we go out shopping. I'll give you an example. We go out shopping and you don't feel like it, because who really likes food shopping? Oh, wait a minute. I quite like food shopping. Depends what I'm going for, actually. But, it's sometimes it can be a real chore to go out and get things done, and we can go out there with a sort of an attitude of, okay, well, I'm just going grocery shopping, or we can change our attitude a little bit. Let's brush away the cobwebs of our mind and think to ourselves, hang on a minute, let's go grocery shopping and let's see if I can find something in there that is a real treat for me. Or let's go grocery shopping and find out if I can find something that's a real treat for someone I care about or someone I love. And we're not talking about spending lots of money, but we're talking about changing our attitude towards the things that we do and having a more positive attitude or looking for more joy. Here's the thing about sunshine. When sunshine comes into a room, we know this when we clean the windows, for instance. Maggie, the sun comes streaming in. Oh, is that a good thing? When the sun comes streaming in, we see all the cobwebs, we see all the dust, we see all the dirt, we see all the corners we couldn't see before. Do we want to bring the sunshine into our houses, or would we prefer to just pretend it's, so we don't have to work at it? We can pretend that, the house it's clean enough. Now, when we do this with our minds and we're cleaning out the cobwebs of our mind, what we're doing is we're allowing the sunshine to come in. Oh, no. Do we really want to see? Because when the light comes into us, when we allow the light to come into us, when we allow ourselves to think differently or to be different or to be more or positive or brighter, when we start to look, when we start to clear the cobwebs away and we start to really see, we don't always like what we see, but at the same time, that's a good thing, because if we don't like what we see, if the sun shines or the light shines on us, the light shines on who we are, what we are, how we are. If that light shines on us, it means that we can see truly, we don't have the cobwebs anymore to disguise who we are, what we're thinking, how we're feeling. And I'm thinking of Gary, and I know that some of you watched our Everything is Attitude show with my friend Al, and Gary was a guest. And I know Gary's on today, so hi, Gary. But Gary was talking to us about his experience with an angel, and I've told that story. I'm not going to tell the story again, but Gary came across his own personal angel who gave him a message in, not Costco, but wherever it was. I can't remember now where it was, but he was shopping. And you don't expect to bump into an angel, and you don't expect that angel to sort of give you a profound message. But that's what happened to Gary. And basically, Gary was talking about how since that experience, he's always had a good attitude. As far as I've known him for years and years and years. And he's always had a great attitude, a very positive attitude. He's kind, he's considerate, he's a loving human being. He's always had a good attitude. But he was telling us on the show, and if you didn't get to watch the show, which was the last, whenever that was, Wednesday or Friday or something. Anyway, if you didn't get to see that show, you can find it on YouTube, and I suggest that you go watch it. But Gary was talking about, even though he had a good attitude, he said something shifted. He talked about how when he met his angel, it was as if, something shifted, something changed for him. And what it was, and if I can describe this to you, is when we meet our angels, if we're lucky enough, which I'm fortunate enough to have seen many angels, Gary's had that wonderful experience. I know some of you have had that great experience. But when we meet our angels, or when we have a, let's say, a spiritual epiphany, what it happens to us is the light shines through. It's not the sun, it's God. It's God's light. It's that joyous, wonderful, incredible, spiritual and joyful, spiritual brightness and lightness and joy that enters us and sort of can, and unfortunately does show us the cobwebs. And unfortunately, we, once the cobwebs are removed, we don't always quite like what we see. But if we don't see those things, if the cobwebs aren't removed, if we allow the cobwebs to stay in place, then we've got no chance of changing or growing or learning or becoming more spiritual or more aware of our own spirituality. So I can understand why people would prefer not to get the cobwebs out of their mind. I can see why people would rather excuse excuse me, would rather not allow that spiritual awareness to come in. I'm good as I am, and I'm good. People, leave me be. It's like, don't shine that sunshine into my house. I'm perfectly happy with it being a little grubby and a little grimy, and perfectly happy not seeing the cobwebs. I can see why people would be afraid of the light shining on us, but at the same time, if we don't allow the light to shine on us, then how can we see what needs to be changed, what needs to be cleaned, what needs to be polished up? And so when we are spring cleaning our minds, our hearts, our soul, when we are taking a good look at ourselves as spiritual beings and trying to, get those cobwebs away so we can properly see who we are and how we are and what we are, it might be horrifying at first, like the sun comes into the house and all of a sudden you've got to clean far more vigorously than you thought you would have to. But it's a good thing in the end, because in the end, at the end of the day, once the cobweb is cleared and we can see clearly, it's sort of like the old proverb about the blind can see, because we do walk around so often on this earth of ours, blinded by our, let me think, TVs, cell phones, computers, earbuds in. We're blinded to what is really out there. We're blinded. I see people walking down the street all the time, and they're either playing their games, or I was in the airport the other day. It was awful. I mean, it was just awful. People were just completely blind to what was going on around them, who was around them, if people were needing help, if people were, I saw a little girl walking along. She's got these bright, shiny shoes on, and it was a joy to see her dancing and prancing. If I'd have been on my cell phone or playing my games, I wouldn't have had that small experience. And so, when we clear away the cobwebs, when we get rid of all of the distractions to our spiritual needs and our spiritual awareness, when we get rid of all of those distractions, and that there are more and more every day, when we get rid of them, we can actually see and start to see who we are, what we are, how we are, and learn to grow and learn to become much more aware, much more spiritually aware, but also much more aware of our neighbors, our friends, the people who are around us. How about the human race? We become much more aware that we are part of this incredible world of ours. And I can tell you, whatever amazing fun and joy and happiness that you can find on your iPads and your cell phones, put them down for a minute, because when you look at the world as it really is and you see people as they really are, wow, that is something to see. That is something to pay attention to. Chris, let's have comments and questions, if there are any, of course.
Well, let's get through the list. Andrea says it's not spring-like in Colorado. They're expecting snow today. And Wayne says they're having snowstorms in Ontario. Chloe's here. It's great to see you. The sun's shining in Michigan for William. Mark has severe storms, so no house cleaning outside, but inside, he says he had to clean the house yesterday for his men's group of card players. So he spring cleans every day, it seems.
Well, all right. I'm not interested. Who cares if it's snowing? Oh, well, you might do because that means when you go out, you've got to wear your winter coats and so on. But this is not about, the storms that are raging outside. This is not about the weather outside, whether it's hot or cold or whatever it is. I mean, I love to hear about it. I love to hear where you all are. And, it just makes me feel good when I listen to people saying it's still snowing here in April. It reminds me of how great my life here is in Florida because it is really beautiful here. But we're not talking about the outside. And Mark made me laugh. He's cleaning the inside. I'm very pleased, Mark, that you've got a great group of card players. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not quite sure why you would have to clean every week for them because if you keep your house nice and tidy and clean, although maybe you're a clean freak and maybe you have to have it absolutely shining bright for all of those guys who do the card playing. Are there any women in that group? I want to know because do you know what? Women can play cards just as easily, just as well as men, if not better sometimes. Just saying. Maybe I'll get an invitation to the card playing one day. But we're talking it's really, whether there are signs of spring, I have seen crocuses grow through ice. I've seen crocuses and tulips growing through snow. Maybe there aren't signs of spring if you're only looking, sort of casually over it. But if you look really carefully, you look really hard, I'm sure you're going to, even though you might have 3 feet of snow, I'm sure you're going to see signs of spring somewhere or another on the trees, on the shrubs, somewhere or another there are signs of spring. But what I would like you to sort of begin to do, all of you here, is what I'm talking about is looking for signs of spring within you, looking for the greens, looking for the buds growing, looking for the new growth, encouraging the new growth, cleaning away the snow, for instance, so you can give those crocuses room to pop their heads through the soil. Weeds can grow through concrete. In fact, I actually had an insurance man tell me once that he went into a lady's house and she got tulips growing through her baseboards. A couple of tulips were popping their heads through her baseboards because I think her house was not as clean as it might have been. But so many flowers are hardy and weeds will grow anywhere and everywhere. And I always liken weeds to love. And I always say that love is like a weed. It despite the conditions. I've seen weeds push their way up through concrete, and I know that many of you have done the same. I've seen, flowers, I've seen shrubs, gorse bushes, for instance. I've seen them grow in the worst of conditions. And, I always feel that love is like a weed. It will grow, even in the poorest conditions, it will grow, even if it isn't fed, even if it isn't watered. Love has this way of rising up and coming to the fore. And I think that when we sort of go into our own selves, within our own selves, I think when we clear away the cobwebs and we see, who we really are, I think we should be able then to, as we clean away the cobwebs, to nurture the love and to nurture the joy that is within all of us and to help it to grow and not to see the cobwebs as a hindrance, but to see the cobwebs as, that let's get rid of them. Let's move them out of the way. We don't need them. Let's see ourselves as we really are. Love is like a weed. No matter what, it's very hard to kill, as most of you out there will know. And some of us have loved people who perhaps don't deserve our love. And we'd love to kill that love, but we can't kill it because you know what? Love is like a weed and it just keeps going and growing. So, let's spring clean our minds, let's spring clean our hearts, let's bring the light in, let's bring the light of God in, and let's just take a real good look at who we are. Don't be afraid if you don't like who you are. When you see who you are, you can change it, you can make it better, you can make it different, you can become a nicer person. But if you allow the cobwebs to just let's say, uh, as an avoidance, if you allow the cobwebs to sort of keep you blind, then you're never going to grow and you're never going to be happy. So spring cleaning of the mind, of the heart, of the soul is very important. Chris.
Judith says I can only do a bit of cleaning and tidying at a time. But now that it is warm for a few days, I'm energized. I'm working between the house and the yard. Yes, the sunshine shows me what needs to be done.
Well, I do sympathize, Judith, actually, because as I've been sort of putting away the books and do you know, I have so much stuff in this house. It's ridiculous. I'm ashamed of myself when I think about it. The stuff that I've collected over the years, those of you who know my shelves to be full of all my collectible stuff, and I have so much stuff that it's, I look at it and I'm taking this opportunity while I've taken it all down. I actually did have a big row of books sort of on a shelf under the TV. And so I decided, okay, the other day, right, I'm going to take them out, put them in a box. But as I'm taking them out or as I'm putting them back, whichever it is, I'm going to throw away all of the stuff I don't want. So I'm thinking I can get rid of half of this shelf easily. I could just, take them to Goodwill or something. I can get rid of them easily. But when I started going through them, all of the books are all of my foreign publications, which I can't get rid of because, no, I just couldn't do that. All of my books have been written in so many different countries around the world, and it's good to, even though I've got only one of each, they mount up. So now I'm afraid, I'm thinking, what can I get rid of that I really, really don't need anymore? What can I give to Goodwill? What can I give away to people? So I'm taking this opportunity to not only to spring clean my house, but to get rid of so much stuff that I really, really don't need. But anyway, so I can only do, because this is what happens. I'll get down there, and there I am, and I'm bending over and I'm getting the books and I'm putting them into boxes and doing a really good job until my back says, no more, no, no, no. It's when I make the bed. I mean, a simple thing about like making the bed, I have to bend just slightly and then I have to sit down. So I can do a little bit for an hour and then I have to sit down for half an hour. Then I get up and do a little bit for an hour. Anyway, as we get older, that's the way it is, but it's not stopping me. I'm not stopping doing it. And I think if we keep moving and we keep sorting and we keep cleaning, not just in our houses, but really we need to keep cleaning in our hearts, in our minds, and in our heads. We need to, get to do some real good scrubbing and cleaning. I think that's the way to go. Now, I just to say, I just told you that I've got all this stuff and all this clutter and so many things in my house. I do want to point out, I've got my friend Mary Lewis here. I'm just going to check. I'm not going to tell you what you should say, yes or no. But I don't consider myself a hoarder. Let me tell you, I've got so much stuff in. but it's not like it's
No, right.
everywhere, is it?
No.
That I have a place for everything and everything in its place. I have to tell you all, I'm going to admit, this is something that most people do not know about me, but I am anal when it comes to my cupboards, right?
Yes.
Yes, you're laughing at me, aren't you?
Yes.
Right. All of my jars are in rows, labels turned just so. When I go into my
Food.
drawers, what? Food, all my food in the fridge. My food is in certain places. When I go into my underwear drawer, it's hysterical. I mean,
That I don't know about.
well, no, but in my drawers, I have certain place for this, certain place for that, and my daughter finally, yay! I'm so thrilled because every time I go to visit her, she says, "Will you help me clean out, Mum, and sort things out and get rid of what I don't need?" Thank goodness she's also not so much with her food, but she's also become anal with her drawers and her closets and so on because it's got to be. I'm on the other side. I've got to have everything sorted out. So even down to my underwear drawers, everything is in, set wherever. And if I open a drawer, if I go in somebody else's house and they say to me, would you mind going in that drawer and getting, and I open the drawer and it's just everywhere. It's it's like a nightmare to me. So I don't want you to think that I'm a hoarder, particularly. Not that really. Doesn't matter if I am, does it? But I don't want you to think I'm a hoarder. I'm a bit of a neat freak, actually. But there's still so much stuff, and I'm going to get rid of a lot of it. Enough. I've done enough talking now. I am bearing my soul to you guys. I'm telling you that I'm anal when it comes to food. Even my refrigerator. How ridiculous is that? Even my freezers, this goes here and that goes there. If I can't bear, I'm probably tidier on the inside, would you say, than I am on the outside. It's like, anyway, so Mary Lou's agreeing with me. Do you have anything to say about that before we move forward?
Hello, everyone. Happy spring.
What?
Hello, everyone. Happy spring.
There you are. She says, hello, everyone, and happy spring. So, yeah. So, anyway, right, Chris, moving on. Enough of
All right. I'll start
Go.
with the questions
Go.
right off the gate. This is from
Go.
Maggie, and it's for Gray Eagle.
Okay.
Last week, while with the horses, I looked up at the clouds and I swear I saw a feather that looked so much like your eagle feather.
Oh,
Was
nice.
that you and why?
Why not? Just why wouldn't you need a little reminder of your spirituality? Why wouldn't someone give you a message in the sky? And of course, right. So I would say not Great Eagle, but Great Eagle has many, many helpers, and also your family. And I think they must have felt that you just needed that little reminder, that little lift that you're not on your own. And the symbol of the feather is a symbol of power, of a reminder that it doesn't give you power. Holding a feather doesn't give you power, but holding a feather or holding a power is a power symbol. It doesn't necessarily give you power. It reminds you of the power that you own. And once you're reminded of the power that you own, you can then use that power. So I think, hope that helps. Chris.
Well, since we're on the topic of feathers, Kathy had a question. Good morning. My husband lost his battle with cancer this past December. Since then, I have found several little white feathers inside my house. Are
Nice.
these feathers from him? I miss him so much.
Of course. Feathers are a symbol. Again, feathers are a symbol of power, reminding you of your own power, reminding you that you're not alone. Years ago, I might have told this story before. I think it was I was on the Lisa Gibbons show. and they put me in a room. It was a little tiny, it was almost a cupboard. They put me in a room, sat me in a chair, put headphones on, and they blindfolded me because they were introducing people in the audience and talking about different people and their situation before they brought me on. And I think they thought they needed to just, blindfold me and put earplugs in so I couldn't hear anything. But actually what that did for me was, because I knew, I had been told before I came on, when I was asked to go on the show, that this show was going to be about parents who had lost their children. And that is a subject which is particularly close to my heart. So while I was sitting in this little cupboard with my blindfold on and my earplugs in and so on, I was talking to Grey Eagle, and I was worried because you know that there are people out there who've lost their children. You want to do the very best you can for them. You want to be able to give them messages of love and hope and comfort from their children in the spirit world. That you want to do it. It's an important thing. For me, it's probably the most important work that I do, to bring parents and their children together. And so I was concerned, and I was talking to Grey Eagle, and I was concerned that I wouldn't do a good job, because I'm only human. I know some people think that I'm not, but I am really only human, and I'm not always what people would like me to be. I'm do the best I can do. And then the next thing, Grey Eagle sort of was standing there listening to me, and I was getting more and more concerned that I would do a good job, and obviously self-doubt creeps in and so on. And the next thing, he shows me this enormous feather, which had to be 10 feet high, went right up into the room, and he sort of, not threw it at me, but it sort of pushed it right into my line of sight. And, yes, I was blindfolded, but I'm talking about second sight, or whatever else you want to call it. And there it was, this feather, and it wasn't there to give me power. It was there to remind me of the power that I had. And so whenever you see feathers, and I'm thrilled that your husband is sending you feathers, whenever you see feathers, please understand, you're getting a gift from the spirit world, and how wonderful is that? Chris?
Leslie says we're in such a drought in eastern Arizona. There has already been a couple of fires. Does Grey Eagle see us getting any rain this monsoon season?
Yes. We should do you a rain dance. Okay, Grey Eagle is telling me to tell you we're going to do a rain dance for you. Now watch for that. Let me know. I don't know how soon it's going to be, but let me know. We'll do a rain dance. That sounds exciting. And we're going to be participating in that. Woohoo! All right. Okay. Keep going, Chris.
Barbara says March 20th was my husband's birthday. Don has been gone for almost 5 years, and I still miss him deeply every day. Do you have any message? I'm desperate to hear from him, and thank you for everything.
Right, I was looking to Grey Eagle, but as I was looking to Grey Eagle, I think I know your husband. I think I've seen him before, and he's laughing at me and nodding and saying to tell you how much he loves you, how much he cares. I know you don't need me to convince you, because we've talked before. So that's the message that's coming over loud and clear. And I don't know. Oh gosh, I wish I had more time for this. Something about, is it your shoe or your foot? I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. So there's something about your, I think I'm going to dive in and say, I think it's your ankle. You need to take care of it. So maybe you're having some issues with your foot. Maybe you should wear a strap or a support or something. Let me know if you understand, or if you don't understand that message. But that's from your wonderful husband, who's missing you just as much as you're missing him. Chris?
Perfect Blend says, my ex that I was with for 20 years but left passed away a few months ago. Do people realize the bad way they acted once they pass over?
Um, yes, they do. I think what happens is that when we pass into the spirit world, we sort of immediately, we talked about the light earlier and getting rid of the cobwebs, right? What happens when we pass into the spirit world is we are literally, we're walking into the light. And when we walk into the light, oh boy, that can be difficult because we see the person we really are. I don't think that God is sitting judging. I don't think there's a man on a throne, sort of, you were naughty of this and this is your punishment and so on. I think the punishments come when we see the way that we behaved, the way we treated other people, often the way we treated ourselves, and we actually see ourselves as we really are. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, people aren't so nice and they have to face that and they have to deal with that. I don't think there is terrible judgment, except that when we see how we've treated other people, when we see how we've behaved towards other people, that I have had many people in the spirit world come to me, ashamed, apologizing, explaining, their bad behavior, so on and so forth. Um, I prefer. This is why. So I think it's so important to do this spring cleaning, to make sure that when it's our turn, we're not. And we all have awful things. We've all done awful things. We've all been horrible at some point or another. But I would prefer, when I get there, that at least I know the awful things. I won't be so shocked when hopefully when I see the kind of person I really am and the kind of person I've been to other people. I hope that I won't have, too much to deal with. I think it's why it's so important for us to, while we're still here, to have as few regrets, to be kind. Remember that Gray always tells us, always tells us, your world needs gentleness. And I think that if we as individuals can show gentleness towards other people and also to show gentleness towards ourselves, which is very important, I think, we will have, when it's our turn, we will have less to deal with and, less to be ashamed of, less to be guilty of, and so on. Hope that answers your question. Chris?
We had two kind of funny comments about your cleaning. My dear friend comes when she can to help me go through things to give to thrift stores. She is ruthless. That's from Judith. And then Randy says, "Can you please help me organize my kitchen?"
Easy. Sorry, go
I was going
ahead.
to say, he says, "My mother is laughing at my kitchen from the other side."
Oh dear me. Oh dear me. Well, my daughter, at one point when she was younger, when she first moved to New York, I went to stay with her and I thought I was doing a really good thing, because I cleaned out her cupboards, her food cupboards, and I cleaned out, everything, where her dishes and everything. And of course, I have everything in, I'm anal. I have everything in rows. When you go into my, the cupboards that house my plates and cups, I mean, everything has its place. When I open my cupboards, if I have someone come to stay and I open my cupboards, I know when somebody's been in there. They only have to move something half an inch and I'll know. So when my daughter moved to New York, I thought I'll do this really great thing for her, and I cleaned out all the food cupboards and got everything organized. And oh boy, she went ballistic at me. This is mine. If I want to keep it a mess, I can keep it a mess. And she was really upset with me. So that was it. I backed off. She was quite right. She had her way and I had mine. So I backed off, and then one day as she got older, Mom, when you come, Mom, when you come this time, Mom, can you help me? And so one of the first places I started was the kitchen, taking everything out, washing out the cupboards and the what have you, and the silverware and the cutlery. And why have you got 5 wooden spoons when you only need maybe 1 or 2? I'm good at that stuff, but anyway, and I'm ruthless too, just so you know. I can be ruthless too. Anyway, keep going, Chris.
So Barbara answered your question. She said, "Yeah, you are amazing. Thank you from my heart. Yes, yes, my ankle has been swollen for a while and I've been worried, and soaking it has been helping. Dawn really is with me."
Of course he is with you. You know that. You know that. You have to understand, though, that he started talking to me. I'm thinking about he's showing me your shoe and then he's showing me your foot. And I'm thinking, what are you trying to say to me? And then he said to me, I think it's her ankle. So, okay. So maybe it's the shoes you're wearing as well. I don't know. All I know is I am thrilled to have given you that message. Isn't it great? The spirit world sees all. Don't you love it? I love it. Anyway, hope your ankle gets better. You need to maybe think about the shoes that you're wearing. I don't know. I'm backing off now. But that was Don coming through to give you a message. So I hope that lifts your spirits. Chris.
Cameron says, "Hi, Rosemary. You helped me in 2019 with the loss of my daughter. I hope you know what you do is special and it's honorable. You care so much to help bereaved parents."
Oh, thank you so much. You need to remind me of who you are and your, and what we did. Because I love to hear these stories because, I have so many of them, and I remember some, but so many unfortunately I don't remember. But I'm so thrilled that I was able to help you, and thank you for joining us on the show today. This was very nice of you to say that, and thank you. I hope that when you came to me and you had your messages, I hope that they have sustained you and helped you to understand that you're never alone. Those in the spirit world are always with you, one way or another. Chris, keep going.
Maggie says, "Yesterday was 9 years since my daughter stepped into the spirit world. How is she doing?"
Um, I'm listening to Grey Eagle, and she's doing great. Oh, and she's apparently, Maggie, I don't remember this, but apparently she's helping children. She's sorry, do that again. She's helping the children. She's helping the children. So that's nice. Good to know. Chris.
Eric wants to know your recipes for the marmalade and golden syrup.
Oh, I forgot. You sent me an email and I forgot to send it back to you. All right. Uh, okay. What we can do is we can put it up. Can we get it on the website, Chris?
Sure.
So I'll put it up for you on the website. The golden syrup, I'm telling you, in England we have golden syrup. In America, people don't know what golden syrup is, but in England we have golden syrup. It's the best. It's fabulous, but it comes in green tins. I think it's Tate and Lyle. If you don't want to make it yourself, and you can get it on Amazon. I think it's called Tate and Lyle golden syrup, and it's the best. It really is on pancakes or. I used to always use it when I made steamed puddings, put it on the bottom. Anyway, it's really good stuff. But when I couldn't get it here in the States, I decided, I'm sure there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way I can do this. And I found a way. And it's so easy and it's so simple. But you've got to be careful because when you're boiling sugar and sweet stuff, you've got to be careful that not to burn yourself, and you've got to be careful that it doesn't burn around the pan either. So do be careful. I will send you the recipes. We are eating our marmalade Chris had it. Chris, you ate it on, what did you say you ate? English muffins this morning for your breakfast?
Yeah, Thomas's English muffins, in my
Right.
opinion, the best.
Oh, okay. And what did you put on those English muffins?
The marmalade that you, Felisa, and I made, what, a couple of weeks ago now. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Straight from scratch. Organic oranges, lemons, all that
Sugar
sugar. Oh yeah.
and my
Molasses.
one special ingredient that most people, when they're making marmalade, don't use, but let me tell you, black treacle is best, but we use molasses. Same sort of not quite the same thing, but similar. Yeah, just it makes it nice and dark and rich and gives it that most delicious taste. Anyway, do you like it, Mary Lou? I know you like it.
I do, yes.
Mary Lou put it on. You baked some fish the other day and you put it
My
over the
salmon.
fish.
Salmon,
Yeah. Was it good?
very good.
Good. You see, you do all sorts with it. Anyway, right. We will put it up on the website then, and then you can try it for yourselves. Do not do what I did, please, because I decided I'd not made it for ages, so I couldn't remember, how many oranges you needed to make, how many pounds of marmalade and so on. So I decided to double up the recipe. Big mistake. Big mistake. It took twice as long to cook. I've now got pounds and pounds of marmalade in my refrigerator, which I love. I'm going to make some of it into a duck sauce later on this week. You can have the recipe for that as well if you like, or you can simply buy the cookbook. It's out there, available, Rosemary's Kitchen. But yeah, we'll send it to you. Chris, never mind. We're back to food. Let's get off of food.
But
right.
that is part of your life, a big part of your life.
It is
All
a
right.
big part. It is a big part of my life. It is.
All right. This question's from Andrea. Is it okay to put ashes to different places, locations, or towns? I'm assuming she means when a person has died and has been cremated.
Okay. I'm going to say that as much as I'm definitely I'm definitely down for cremation, unless I drown and go to the bottom of the ocean where they won't be able to find me at all. I'll be, what is it when they say the mafiosa say she's, gone with the fishes. What is that phrase? she's gone with the fishes. Is that whatever it is? Anyway. And I had somebody also a couple of weeks ago say to me, Rosemary, when you die, and actually I've had 2 people now in the space of 2 weeks say to me, when you die, what will you need? Shall we do a eulogy, or shall we write a thing about you? Now, I have one request when I die, and that request is that whether it's on a headstone or a plaque or a bit of rock in the garden, I don't care, where Samantha may or may not put my ashes. My one request is that I would like on my headstone, she tried and then she died. That's it. And I've always wanted, since I was in my 20s, I think it's perfect. I tried, then I died, and that's good for me. I don't want all of the other stuff. And so, what happens after I die is entirely up to Samantha. However, okay, back to the ashes. Right, you can put a pinch here and a pinch there. You can put them wherever they are. The person whose ashes they are doesn't really care, is not there with the ashes. I think we keep them because they mean something to us. They're precious to us, perhaps. And lots of people have different viewpoints, and some people sort of throw the ashes onto a special place. Some people, as you're thinking of doing, a little here, a little there, and so on, a few different special places maybe. It doesn't matter what you do with them. You can keep them in a jar for the rest of your life and wait till your children or your grandchildren chuck them out, not even knowing what they are. It won't matter one jot to the person whose ashes they are. or you can go, to a park or to, I do know a person who, I'm not sure this is legal, so I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I do know a person who sort of has scattered a few ashes here and there on a few baseball fields, just saying. I'm not going to say who it was. And one of those baseball fields happened to be a big, famous baseball field. Anyway, it doesn't matter, it just is for us. It makes us feel better. It makes us feel that we're doing something special. And wherever we're scattering those ashes, that person whose ashes they are, that person is probably with us, having a little chuckle about it and so on. I never got to, my father was cremated. I never got to have any of his ashes or scatter his ashes. I just planted a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful malus tree. And a malus tree is a dark skinned, deep pink with red leaves, cherry blossom. And whenever I see them around, I always think of my daddy. Unfortunately, the tree that I planted grew huge and it was filled with blossoms every year. It was a beautiful tree. Unfortunately, when I left England, I had to leave it behind. But maybe I should plant another one. I'm not sure. But anyway, do what you like with the ashes. If I'd had the ashes, I probably would have scattered them around the base of the malus of the cherry tree, because because why not? Let's feed the cherry tree. Doesn't matter what you do in honor of your loved ones. I think it's for our benefit more than it's for theirs. Chris.
All right, we have 2 more questions.
Okay.
This is from Stefano. I am 48 years old, and since I was young, I wanted a child. Unfortunately, I never found the right person to have it. I can't get over it. I asked for help with prayers, but nothing. Can you advise me something?
Yes, I can. Okay. You know, I do have to say that the joys of being a parent probably outweigh anything. I don't want to rub salt into the wound here. The joys of being a parent are amazing. They come with heartache and hardship and difficulties, because the joys of being a parent mean that we care enough about someone to have them basically sort of, we give them permission to disrupt our lives in sometimes in ways that we don't want them to, but still the overall joy of being a parent and having a child, I don't think you can beat that. However, okay, there are so many children. There are so many children in the world. There are so many children probably on your doorstep almost, in your backyard, in your town, in your village, wherever it is you live. There are so many children who do not have parents. They live in orphanages or hostels or hostelries or what have you. They live without love, they live without care, and they would love to have a father figure. Now, I've known so many people who've had a father or a mother who do not have a relationship with them, or the relationship they have with them has been so awful that, they would rather not. I remember a young man who had AIDS and he was dying, and he had a friend, an older man, who was more a father to him than his own father had ever been, who at some point strode into the hospital, picked up that young man who was very emaciated from his illness, picked him up and took him out of the hospital and brought him home and took care of him from then on. He was not a father in the sense of a blood relation, but he was more of a father to that boy than that boy's father ever was. Don't get hung up on the thing of is not my blood, or is, it has to be my blood. There are so many young people out there looking for a father, looking for a father figure. There are so many people out there who you can help. I think that it will ease your pain if you could just take that step to, looking into the hostels or the orphanages or places where there are children, young children, older children, whatever. But there are so many people so many kids who are without a father, without love, without any care, without anyone to care for them. And I think that you have a father's heart. And I think that using that heart, even if it's not for your own flesh and blood, go out and find your son or your daughter. Go out and search, because I think that if you do that, with you having that father's heart, you could also have the joys that a child could bring to you. You don't necessarily have to adopt them. You don't have to have them full time. There's an organization called Big Brother where, kids have older people who can help them study, advise them, be with them, do stuff with them, take them to football matches, so on and so forth. There's so many things that you can do, my darling. And remember that, just because you're a father or a mother doesn't mean that you're a good father or a good mother. There are many of those not so great people out there, and many children have suffered for it. So I think you have a father's heart, which means that you are a loving and a caring person. Go find your child. Go find that child who needs your loving and caring, and bring light and sunshine into your life. That would be my advice to you. Chris.
All right. Then there's a question from Randy. Can Gray Eagle help me with my son's GI issues?
Is that GI issues? Is that
Gastrointestinal.
intestinal? Yeah, that's what I thought. We'd need to know more. Maybe you could write to us, email us, and explain what the effects are, and maybe see if we could, I can talk to Greg more. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Unfortunately, we only have a certain amount of time. But if you email and let us know, what's going on and how he's affected and so on, we can try and help you. I can't guarantee we can cure anything or you make a difference, but certainly we can try and have a look and see what we can come up with. All right, I think that's it, Chris. So, gosh, that went so fast. We only sat down a minute ago, and here we are. So, all right, so we will be back next Thursday. Unfortunately, the month of April is going to be a little bit of a slow month for us because the decorators are coming in and I've got to do all this work and I don't have time for anything else, but promise you we'll make up for it in May. We will be having our cracking up with Kay. That's usually the last Friday in the month. We'll be having a couple of other things going on. We'll let you know, or go to the website, rosemaryaltea.com, I think it is, whatever that is. Is that right? Or www.rosemaryaltea.com.
Yep, you're correct.
Anyway, all right. So, you can always go there and check out, but we will definitely be back here next Thursday. I can't guarantee the shelves will be filled. I can guarantee they'll be cleaned and scrubbed. All those cobwebs, all those dusty corners get out of the way. And while I'm doing that, I'll be doing getting rid of my cobwebs in my mind and looking forward to spring and all of the new beginnings that spring brings us. So until I see you again, please, everybody, thank you for joining us. I'd like to say thank you to Grey Eagle. I'd like to say thank you to Chris. Thank you to Mary Lou, who sat quietly in the corner here. I would like to say thank you to all of you for joining us and for your questions. And please, everybody, Have a very, very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.